Zaldrizas buzdari, Ixos daor. In this video, I want to talk about several different things that I think everyone should know going into House of the Dragon. If you could, before we get started, please do me a massive favor and slap a like on this video if you enjoyed my content. Like goal is going to be 420. Right, now the first bulletin point that I kind of want to talk about that I've seen a lot of rhetoric for is the look and feel of this show. More specifically, the castles and the cities and the swords and the armor. That the big thing to know about that, or the big thing to take away and to look forward to in this new show is that, yes, this is set in the past. Yes, this is at a time where there's the War of the Five Kings is tragic, lays waste to all of Westeros, still is unfolding in the main storyline of A Song of Ice and Fire. This is a time where Aegon came over, established an order and a dominance of the Six Kingdoms, later the Seven, when Dorne was brought into the fold. But during this time, that peace that Aegon had, and obviously, there was some tumultuous times after he died, but the long-standing peace that everyone in Westeros understood is that, Targaryens are in power, they have dragons, we're subjects of them ultimately, as long as, we have our affairs in order and, we sort of pay tribute to these motherfuckers, everything is all good. And of course, when you have dragons, it's like having nukes. So the Targaryens are the nuclear power in Westeros. And obviously, if everyone else is sort of third world and the Targaryens are like first world, well then, basically the Targaryens fuck themselves over. And during this time, there's a lasting peace from when Westeros was sort of first conquered. Now, obviously, it's like English history, so there's never really a peaceful time. But during this time, it's not like the War of the Five Kings. It's not like Dance of the Dragons yet until it happens. So the big thing to take away from all that is that the castles and the cities are almost at their peak. They look better than they've ever been. And obviously after this time period, they get destroyed and ransacked, and nothing is really the same, and most of the Targaryens die, and most of the Targaryen dragons die. But it's a time that will be like in high fantasy, right? In the main story, the characters, no matter what it is, Lord of the Rings, Game of Thrones, any sort of high fantasy rather, there's always a thing that's established in the story, and that's this story is taking place after some great time period when things almost seemed like, yeah, they were the craziest, but there was a bunch of heroes, for example, that were around that could take care of shit. And now all of them have died, and the same things are starting to happen again, but who are these people going to be? And that's usually what the story will be about. You'll have the hero's journey of who the new characters are. That's sort of what happened with the Song of Ice and Fire with Game of Thrones. So you hear about these ancient heroes that sort of prevented the Long Night before, Azor Ahai being the main one, and obviously that's reincarnated in Daenerys and Jon Snow. But that is what this show is going to be taking place in, almost. This is that high fantasy time that you hear referenced by Joffrey when he says, oh, did you know, super spoiler, X character gets fed to X character's dragon, and it happened right here. It's like that time period is what this show is going to be. So the castles, the city, the armor, the swords, everything is at its peak almost. So the massive sound studio V or stage V or whatever the fuck that Warner Brothers built, have no doubt in your mind that the only reason why that was built was for House of the Dragon, was for Game of Thrones, was for any prequel series that comes out of the world of A Song of Ice and Fire. Now, obviously, they're going to use it for their other movies and for their other TV shows, but it's mostly for House of the Dragon. They realize that it's not a waste of money. Yes, put all your eggs in this basket and make this universe as big as possible. George R. R. Martin is planning on being way more fucking hands-on, and the people that they have running this new show, specifically Miguel Sapochnik and Ryan Condal, could not be a better duo. So Miguel Sapochnik is a director. He's famous for Battle of the Bastards. War. That's all you gotta think of when you think of Miguel Sapochnik. This man is a fucking master of war. Then you have Ryan Condal, who's basically like me, a giant fucking nerd who loves everything. Props, the process of making movies themselves, characters, every costumes, everything. This dude is fucking hands-on. So you have the cinema eye of Miguel Sapochnik and the fucking directorial, like, just everything else that Ryan Condal has. The two of them are show running House of the Dragon. Now, I don't know about Dan and Dave's relationship before Game of Thrones, but I don't know if it was as extensive as Miguel and Ryan are bringing to the table. Now, obviously, Miguel was a huge part of Game of Thrones' success, and Ryan is a massive fan of A Song of Ice and Fire. But like I was just saying, like, there's no risk in pouring money into this show. Damn, I got super sidetracked here. HBO knows that this show is a lot larger of a scale. It takes place over more parts of Westeros. It's better that it was told after Game of Thrones, because Game of Thrones made all the money. This show is going to spend all the money. It's going to make all the money too, but at first it's going to spend all of this first season. I'd love to know what the fuck the budget is. I'm pretty sure it's like, something insane like $50 million per episode. Who knows? They may be actually saving money with using, like, Warner Brothers' actual equipment. That was the thing with Game of Thrones, and HBO was in northern Belfast, the Titanic Studios. So, obviously, they had a lot of resources there, but nowhere near as many as the main Warner Brothers studio in Leavesden, UK. That's where they filmed all of the Harry Potter movies. That's where they filmed, like, the DC movies. It's just a better place to be if you want to say, I don't know, film 3 dragons fighting at once, or one person jumping off of a dragon, stabbing the other one through the eye, and landing in a massive body of water. Those types of things are all going to be possible, and I think the look and feel of this show are going to be the peak of Westeros. Now, obviously, there are times in Westerosi history where things are better for certain people, but for the Targaryens, coming off of Aegon the Conqueror, coming off of, dominating 6 realms, later 7, this is like, it's for anyone who's a Targaryen fanboy or girl like myself, fucking this show is going to be amazing. It's going to be, the first season has to show how great things are. So that way, halfway through the season or towards the end, and then in later seasons, when everything comes crumbling down, it means so much more. I'm looking forward to dragon scenes. I'm looking forward to people fighting each other. That's another thing that I didn't mention, super sidetracked here. One of the leaked things we still haven't gotten fucking pictures of yet. There was like some weird smoky image of inside Leavesden studio, but the people around Leavesden were told for 10 days they would watch out for crazy smoke, fires, and braziers and stuff. And Rhaenyra, the actress who plays Rhaenyra, they fucking released a picture of them on their Instagram when they were looking super sweaty and super sexy, but no dragons. We haven't seen any dragons yet. So one of the things that I was thinking of could be the tourney. One thing that King Viserys was known for is for throwing parties. When he's handed the reins of the kingdoms down from the old King Jaehaerys, there was kind of nothing to do. So, Viserys was known as like a party guy. So that smoke and dragonfire could actually be part of a tourney. Maybe something famous happens there. Maybe they mix things up a bit. Maybe Kristen Cole demounts Prince Daemon, and maybe we get to actually watch that happen. Or you know what? This actually could be, since we have the younger actresses, it could be a flashback to one of the other tourneys. I'm not, at this point, who fucking knows? We need more pictures. But look and feel, cities, landscapes, arms, everything is going to be fucking at its peak, because this is before everything is destroyed. So moving on, the second thing that I kind of want to mention is and I kind of already talked about it, is the pacing. The first season will be, like, in my opinion, action-packed and filled with battles. I don't know if they'll be part of the Dance of the Dragons, but they'll be like skirmishes and battles that are sort of either hammed up or the timeline is manipulated, just because that's what Miguel Sapochnik is known for, and that was like the best part of Game of Thrones, along with the titties and the dragons and the occasional male penises. They need battles. That's a big part of medieval fantasy. That's a big part of high fantasy. That's a big part of this show. What made it feel so fucking amazing is the cinematography was on par with movies. Prepare yourselves for battle and epic pacing, and I'm looking forward to that, as well as like crazy good dialogue. And I kind of mentioned already, I'm looking over my notes here, but I kind of already mentioned Miguel Sapochnik was known for Battle of the Bastards, so I don't really need to mention that again. But the third thing, this is really, really fucking important. Deeper mysteries will be explored. For instance, we could find out that part of Dark Sister was used to forge the Cat's Paw. Cat's Paw was used to kill the Night's King. Maybe that dagger on this show, Dance of the Dragons and in House of the Dragon, maybe it's changed to that's the dagger that was used to kill Viserys. Maybe we don't fucking know, but deeper mysteries will be explored. The mysteries that George has left open in the air for interpretation, mysteries that could impact the storyline, but mainly it's just the one that this storyline takes place in. George sort of leaves that open for Condal and Sapochnik to sort of make their own. I'm prepared to find out what actually happens to Daemon. Now, obviously, every single character in this story is fucking dead. This takes place, 180 years before the main story, roughly. But Daemon's death isn't as straightforward as it seems. Basically, when everybody knows this at this point, I don't even need to fucking worry about the spoilers, but when he kills Aemon, and jumps off his dragon and uses his sword to drive in to the back of Aemon's skull, his body was never found. The dragon washed up on shore, but his body was never actually found. So there's mysteries that he went and lived off with Nettles in the woods, and she was a woods witch. That's the kind of shit that I'm looking forward to seeing on this show. The deeper mysteries of A Song of Ice and Fire, at least for the Dance, are going to be explored in this series. So that's one thing along many that I'm super looking forward to. And then lastly, I see this question asked a lot in my comment section and over on Twitter, speaking of which, make sure you go follow me at Sir_Hunt. And that's, how many seasons will this show have? Like, what will the first season cover? What year is this show going to start in? And now that we know they're doing flashbacks, well, they're probably going to be covering everything. I think there's going to be at least 7 seasons planned. That's how many books were originally planned for A Song of Ice and Fire. And since this story is already finished, and I know George will obviously be adding to it, but mostly the story's told because all the fates of most of the main characters have already been, written. The ink is dry, so to speak, or, I would say I plan on at least 7 or 8 seasons. That's how many Thrones went for. That's how many books there were supposed to be. That's how long they could really stretch the story out for if they tell all of the different details. They plan on doing a sea snake. Like, that's not, it's in production, or sorry, I don't even know what it's called, like, where it's in the phase that it's in right now. They're trying to come up with a good script. They're, like, writing it, along with a few other prequels. So I would expect a direct spinoff from House of the Dragon because this takes place at such an interesting time in Westerosi history. I would expect a direct spinoff from House of the Dragon and then a Game of Thrones movie. And then, maybe we get Nymeria 10,000 ships down the line. I don't know. I feel like it would make sense since they're doing this flashback thing. They're going all out by naming the characters that are playing younger versions of the main cast. They're naming them. I feel like they're going to be part of that Sea Snake TV series, and maybe they're testing the waters by having the really good actresses brought in to play the younger version of these characters. Maybe they know that they're going to be such likable characters that people are just going to want more, and they're going to need more entertainment involving those characters. Who knows? I will say that I think it's going to go for at least 7 or 8 seasons. At this point, I think we're like 13, 14 minutes deep in this video. I don't thank you all so much for watching. If you've made it this far, please slap a like on the video. The like goal is going to be 420. But also, a super special shout out to my Patreon family over on patreon.com/SirHuntsReviews. I want to thank you all again so much for watching. My name is Mark, and this has been Sir Hunt's Reviews. Oh, not. Oh, bitch.